We are live solar cars. First question. Let's go. How many deals have you sold in Spanish?
How many transactions, right? Nasty word deals. How many transactions in Spanish? I'd probably say about 5, but I had to use my wife where I had to call her for the translation.
All right, so you get that, transactions. You don't say deals. That's on me. I'll take that one, right? All right, so the transactions. Out of those transactions, I know, right? It's gonna be super loud. All right, so out of those transactions you guys had, how many are you selling right now? I know we just talked about this, lease versus loans, and we're gonna talk about right now, and then we're gonna talk about the year trend.
Here, can I see the phone? What do you say? All right, it's a little loud here, so let's hop on real quick. What was the question again?
The question is, right now, how many leases versus loans are we selling out there in the industry right now?
So for me, different buyers require different amounts of information. So in certain states and certain situations, you want to qualify with something called a needs formula. What the needs formula is this: what do they have now? What do they enjoy most about what they have now? If they could alter one thing about their situation, what would that be? Who's the decision maker, and what is the solution that is best for that family? So, for example, sometimes people make a loan too big of a deal because of interest or debt or finance fees. And what I'll do is I'll position against it. It's called reverse selling. So for me, the way I'll pre-frame it, it'll go something like this. If I'm selling the lease against the loan, it would start like this. So before I explain to you all the reasons why so many people have gotten involved with this program, I first want to explain to you the reasons you would never partake in this. You would never partake in this if you had to go into any sort of debt. You would never do this if you had to take out a loan, especially if it was for 25 years. You would never do this if there was interest involved with that. The only way you would partake in it is if we could show you a way that we would actually cover all the upfront costs, redirect or shift the money you're giving to the utility company into something that has control, predictability. So for me, it's just about switching it up. It's positioning the value. It's probably the number one thing I think most solar professionals don't know how to do. They can present, they can prospect, but how do you position the value? How can you make it so, like, Marcos is really good at positioning value with the tax credit, but for me, it's how can I make them think differently? Yeah. Same way when I speak on stage, it's how can I help them think differently than anybody else that's ever talked to them. When I go knock on somebody's door, it's, hey, how can I help them think differently? They've never talked to somebody like me. They've never talked to somebody like you. How can we position the value for them to make the decision that's true?
Okay, so on that, so lease versus loan, Marcos, I would love to hear your perspective, being that obviously you're the tax expert. What is the benefits from going lease versus loan in your perspective?
I think there's a client for each, right? As Taylor was saying. For me, I'm a big on the tax credit, right? Today I talked about the power of the ITC, and it's beyond just the 30%. You talk about the opportunity of being able to add money on people's paycheck by next Friday. Now with the lease, I don't have that option.
Yeah.
With the lease, I'm not putting money in.
Wait a second. If you guys were listening, can you just repeat that last part? Just really listen right here.
Well, I think the most important thing about going solar is the ability to put money back into people's paycheck by next Friday. With a lease, I cannot do that. Yes, I'm going to eliminate your electric bill, but you talk about times like right now, you have the power of putting money back into people's pocket, $100, $200, $300, $500 per paycheck.
So what you guys are hearing right now, to break it down to the ridiculous, is if you sell somebody that's a W-2 employee that gets taxed every single week, by having solar, they can fill out an I-9?
W-4.
A W-4.
Go tax exempt and stop lending money to the government with no benefits.
Okay, so that's how they can claim the FTC before install.
Exactly.
Okay.
Here's the problem. Here's the catch. It's another way to secure the loan, Taylor. Because how many times will people sign a loan and then they want to cancel, they're having second thoughts. But if you went exempt, client, if you cancel, you're going to have to pay that money back. So I just dropped the nugget there for you guys. It will be a good way to retain your clients and get them not to cancel a contract.
So if you guys don't know who Marcos is, Marcos is actually on my board of advisors, so he's not just somebody that is, hey, I need help with this solar tax credit question. He helps me with my personal finances. He helps with the families that I serve. And, he just came out with this no-brainer deal. The no-brainer opportunity with being able to have the advantage, and, lines that he was able to teach me was, I am not an accountant, but I am a solar tax professional, okay? Speaking of professionals, I got one right here to the right of me, Mr. Mikey Lucas. So me and Mikey have known each other probably since 2013, 2014.
Yep.
And Mikey just ripped on stage, here at the Latin Solar Convention. Now, I guess my question for you is anybody can be successful in this industry for a year, 2 years, or 3 years.
Sure.
What would you say to somebody on here that says, how can I focus on longevity? How can I focus on having 10, 15 solid years as a professional? What advice would you give to somebody that wants to focus on longevity?
So when it comes to specifically the ITC, with customers, you have to understand what the ITC actually is. If you haven't read the 5695 form and know how to professionally present that to your homeowners, you're not going to have longevity. Okay, so knowing what product is correct for your homeowner, how to present that properly to the homeowner so that they feel confident to the point where, again, if you want longevity, they understand it, so now they're telling their family, friends, and neighbors. I built a 52.6% referral business because I was able to articulate what the solar tax credit and what solar actually meant, whether you're buying power or they're buying the panels, to the homeowner so that they could actually tell their neighbors about it. And that's how I was able to stay in solar for 10 years.
So what would you say to somebody? It's the end of October, right? They grind it all summer.
Sure.
And now they're not checked in. They're not checked in. They're not knocking 5-6 days a week. They're not putting in the same amount of effort that they were putting in. How can somebody get to the point where, they're laser beamed instead of strobe lighting, on and off, that they're completely focused and myopic in what they want to accomplish and what they're doing?
Okay, so what I did when I was in that situation was it's October right now. Okay, you're listening to this right now. I would go through and think about how the regret of not actually having my wife or my family to be able to have the gifts that they want during Christmas, because everything that I sell now has everything to do with how well of a Christmas that we have. And I know that Christmas it's about Christ coming as a baby and being the Savior, but having gifts for me, if you're not laser focused, you need to think about that regret you're going to have in December by you not being able to buy your wife. You have to go buy your wife Michael Kors instead of Louis Vuitton or Gucci. And to me, that was more than enough. So if that helps for you, I hope it does. If it doesn't, you don't have your tax money saved, so you better go out and make your tax money and not have to be in debt with the IRS.
Yeah, and for me, it's commit now and figure it out later.
Absolutely.
Right? If you build it, they'll come. Risk is the down payment for success. The next question, if you guys have some questions, throw it in here. Somebody asked, how do you sell in the winter?
Referrals, really easy. If you grinded through the summer, you really did the fall thing, you were putting in numbers that you had never seen before, you're hitting records, then if you're not going back and talking to these homeowners that you gave stellar processes to, then you didn't give a stellar process, right? If you didn't really hold their hand through this and more of a consultant, right, had these transaction versus deals, then this should be guiding you through the winter and coming into the spring. You should be a referral machine. Because if you didn't know this and you're in solar, the best time to install a solar system is winter.
Yeah.
It's right now.
Right now.
Because then you're going to start getting these credits through November, December, January to fall into spring and summer. And that's the best time to get referrals, because when somebody gets a utility bill and they get a negative charge, is the best time to sell their neighbor, their family, their friend. It's referrals that get you through here. But if you didn't grind through that summer month, you didn't grind through that fall season, then you're in trouble right now. And that's probably a lot of individuals who are scared and trying to make excuses as to why I'm not getting high numbers right now. If you have a metric and you have a goal, you'll find a way to get it. And I believe referrals is the winner cheat code.
Referral orchards, let's go.
Just to give my 2 cents in that, I think the fourth quarter should be your best quarter. Guys, they say championship teams are made on the fourth quarter, and that's 100%. But you talk about the opportunity, guys. everybody's on vacation. A lot of solar agents are checking out. They're going to get time off, okay? It is your time to go all in. The playing field is going to be felt empty for you guys. And by the way, this is when people start talking about taxes. They need more money right now for the holidays.
Yep.
Guys, perfect timing. Fourth quarters is where champions are made.
Yeah, and really check your mindset a lot of the time out there. A lot of you guys might say, how do you sell in winter? Hey, maybe I'm checked in, checked out. I'm really not getting the results that I want. Like, completely shift your mindset. You know, I never see fail. I'm going to drop a couple nuggets that I'm going to drop tomorrow, but I never see failure as failure, but only as that game that I must play to win. You see? Ready for this? Rejection turns me on.
Let's go.
I love hostile people. I love hostile people.
Bye.
Right? And that's what you need to think, right? Like, dude, I have a secret that I haven't told anybody. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I'm a lazy piece of shit. I have not worked in 18 years. All I've done is I've been a professional trick-or-treater. I've given away people free money, and I've gotten paid millions of dollars to give away free money. Like, that's the mindset. Like, hey, I don't feel like working today. I'm gonna go exercise and make friends. And it's just sometimes it's just we need to check ourselves up here, and you know, all it takes is a little bit of momentum to get yourself started. And you know, sometimes I don't know what I'm gonna do. I just commit, and then you know, good things happen.
What does Jordan say? I never lost. I just ran out of time.
That's a good one.
He said, I've never lost a game. I've just merely ran out of time.
Ooh.
My favorite is I've won some, I've lost some, but I'm still undefeated. Still undefeated, baby. It's a mindset.
We have a question in the crowd too.
Right, do the math. If you knock on 10 doors, Taylor.
Yep.
Right? And you receive a couple no's, right?
Taylor math's different.
It's gonna be worth it if you get that 10th yes, because you're gonna make good money. So you get paid to say no.
So I'm in Cape Coral, Florida. I knocked this lady's door. I'm on the 16th no. She's about to shut her door. I said, Miss, before you go, I just want to thank you because I just earned $3,000. I do this out of a goodwill. I do this out of a service. I do this to help people. So like that's easy, but if you can legitimately tell me that you do not want to opt into this program and you want to opt into the higher increases with the utility company, I just let my upper management know, and I earned $3,000. So just to confirm, you are not doing this, right? And then she's like, what? And then she slams her door in my face, and I'm sitting there like, yes. But guess what? I'm more contagious going to that next door rather than saying, oh, this person told me no, you know?
It's the mentality.
And I think that's a good point. Like, if you do come from a real genuine, hey, dude, I really want to help people, whether it's in training, whether it's in solar, whatever that is, that's the core of where your business is going to start. Hey, I'm going to genuinely try to help people today. I'm going to genuinely come to the Latin Solar Convention to provide value. I'm going to genuinely knock on this guy's door because I know I can help him.
Amen, man. You know, people focus so much on how much money I'm going to make instead of how much service I'm going to provide. Yeah. When you bring value, the money follows, bro, especially if you're fixing people's problems. We have somebody here?
We do have a question really quick. 1 second.
Yeah.
A question.
Una pregunta que nos tenga.
Walter.
Sí, mira, yo atendí a tu orientación temprana
Ah, ok, gracias.
y me quedé con esta pregunta. Dijiste que en el mes número 19, después
Ok.
que hay un incremento en el monthly payment, ¿verdad?
Monthly payment, sí.
Si ellos son empleados y califican, había que llenar algo en la W4.
Sí.
¿Qué era y cómo funciona?
Okay, I'll translate that question if you guys want to as well.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens at month 19, Taylor? This guy's asking us what happens in month 19 when the client didn't get the ITC credit and now their monthly payment is gonna bump up. Now they have to make those $100. And he said, you sure today on stage is something that could help us? And yes. Lo que puedes hacer es al mes 19, si no recibiste tu dinero, puedes llenar la forma W4 si eres un empleado, la W4 y poner exento para que ya ya pares de prestarle dinero al gobierno. Entonces se viene más dinero a tu bolsa. Vamos a suponer que son $100 extra. estás trayendo $400 extra cliente mes por mes. De ahí puedes agarrar los $100 y pagar el préstamo y todavía te quedas con el otro dinero.
So if I understand correctly, basically, except you don't pay your employer puts up full taxes.
Federal taxes. Yes.
Taxes, and then you basically qualify for the.
Also on the loan,
Yes.
when I'm explaining the monthly amount, I always explain month 19 first. So that's what the amount is. I don't say, hey, this is the amount, and then on month 19 it increases, because then you're digging a hole for yourself.
I love this tragedy because people get afraid of the month 19, the month that is going to go up.
Yep.
You're going to give them money the month 19.
Amen.
When I do bring up the month 19 as the amount, and then I say the first 18 months, you're going to answer yes to the next question you did not know I was going to ask you. You're on a fixed income, right? Okay, then the first 18 months is going to be reduced to this. This is called positioning value.
I've seen it in YouTube.
It's positioning the value. But say if the month 19 amount is $100 more than their electric bill, I don't position it as $100 additional a month. What I do is I position it as most of the other neighbors felt like if they could have true ownership, control, and predictability, that $25 a week wouldn't take food off their table, and they'd rather get rid of the liability and turn it into an asset. So it's just how you position it.
I always tell people,
$3 a day, but then $3 a day would make
Yeah.
here's the thing. Do you want to wait 25 years to get the benefit, or do you want to get it by next paycheck?
Got you guys, Mark. Thank you guys.
Good one. Let's go. Michael O'Donnell, go ahead and say. Great question, by the way.
All right, so my question for you, Marcos, is this: is when the homeowner, let's just say they're making $100,000 a year, okay? They're married, and they've got 3 kids. If I need to sell them a 15 kilowatt system and they prefer to do a loan, or let's just say it's an estate that can only do loans. You cannot do a lease or a PPA, okay? Has to be a loan. If they're making $100,000, okay, and I sell them a 15 kilowatt system, are they going to get 100% of the ITC in the first year? And if not, what are they going to get roughly?
So, let me just tell you, Mikey, 99% of the people will not get the ITC in year 1. It's okay, it's even better. The credit was created for it to be used for a couple of years, up to 10 years. Like, it even sounds fun or better when you say, I'm going to help you for the next 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, okay? However, they will get, they're your perfect clients because they make too much to get the kids credits. They make too much to get the kids credits, so ITC would help them eliminate their taxes. Now, if I was to guesstimate, they're going to be getting about $9,000 as their tax liability. Now, here's the powerful thing, Taylor, and I love this, is right now, they're using their child credits to pay for their income tax. They're taking away from their kids to pay for their income tax. If they go solar, they eliminate their taxes and they don't have to use their kids' credits. They can use that to go and buy stuff for their children.
Okay. Marcos, is there a way, do you have any tools that we can use or that you can put out that basically is like maybe a spreadsheet or a tool that we can get or send to our followers of how to calculate, like in the house, how much tax credit it's going to be? Because for me, I try to go as far as, like, you know, looking on the IRS website and seeing what tax brackets are at. But I'm not a professional at that. I don't actually know. But I do as much as I can. Do you have anything, a tool that you can give us to the industry to help us with that?
Yes, they can go directly to my website, TaxOutYourSolar.com. And inside our new course, Mikey, we tell them exactly what to do, and it comes with those tools.
Awesome.
We've called it the MBD, the no-brainer deal.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, for me, it's like I just make it like people go solar for control, predictability, equity, savings, environmental, and then the cherry on top is the incentive. People aren't going solar for the incentive, because if I know that they may not qualify for that, that's where I want to be able to say, hey, either position to a lease or say, hey, 19 months is what the fixed amount is, and then the first 18 months we lower it, so we position the value the correct way.
All right, I have a question here. So Taylor, for you, and then I have one for Sway too. Taylor, for you, if you know you're going to make $100 a kilowatt versus $1,000 kilowatt on a loan, $100 kilowatt on a PPA or lease and $1,000 a kilowatt on a loan, why would you sell the lease over the loan?
Because the only reason I would do that is I'm going to do every single time what's best for the homeowner.
Amen.
I'm serving families. I'm not selling anybody. I'm a serviceman. I'm a servant. I'm there to help people. So whether I get paid $1 on a sale or whether I get paid $10,000 on a sale, a lot of the time for me, I would forfeit the commission I'd make on a sale to be able to have the video of the entire transaction so that thousands of people could learn from it and say, wow, that's how you get through that objection, or that's how I get when they say they're not signing anything today. So for me, it's not about what I'm getting paid, because I do this out of a goodwill. I do this out of a service. I do this to help people. And if I can't help somebody, I'm not signing them up even if I'm making 20 grand on the sale. If they want to do it and I know that I'm screwing somebody over, I cannot look somebody square in the face and have the conviction to be able to help them. That's the truth. That's just being blunt, you know?
And is that why you've been in the industry for so long? Because you just are there to serve?
Yes, and I think going
because you have, is there any level of guilt or shame from screwing people over the past that you have? There's not.
No, because I can go to people's houses that I set up 8 years ago.
And we have videos of that. Yeah, I've seen them.
But
that was a really good video.
For me, it's like, all right, I got this analogy when I worked for Solar City, because I used to sell alarm systems, and they said you have to go from a Jerry Rice to a Jerry Jones. You have to go from the best player to the best owner. And then kind of like the 6 Ds of scaling your business, you have a desire that will create a discipline, which will allow you to demonstrate, which will allow you to document, which allows you to duplicate, and then it allows you to disappear. What I'm doing is I'm going through these cycles. Okay, I was the cycle as the top salesman in alarms. Then I went from a Jerry Rice to a Jerry Jones, managing a team of 800-900 people with Solar City. Then I said, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start my own companies. And then I said, hey, I want to be able to make a bigger impact on the whole entire industry, because I'm not going to be able to go knock all these doors. I'm not going to be able to hold in all these secrets and not tell people. Like, when I hear you guys use the one-liners on the doors, or hey, I use this closing line, like, you're not stealing it from me. You're just utilizing it, and it actually worked for you. So that's like genuine. Like, we're underdogs. 96% of people hate salespeople, and probably 99% of people hate door-to-door sales.
Just to knock on that too, like, we're all in solar. When anyone says solar, it's everybody in solar itself. Like, there's no competition. It's all about cooperation, and the more that we can be collaborative, the more that we'll actually spread the knowledge that works. And I think that's the key to a lot of this, is actually collaborating and sharing this type of success and knowledge so that everybody could win. Because at the end of the day, Taylor, you're in solar, I'm in solar. The fact that anybody outside of here is going to look at us and they're going to think we're in the same space versus actually competing with each other.
Yeah. And you got to do business with people you want to do life with too, you know. I got to answer this one question before it goes. Taylor, what should I do to become better at door knocking? It's very simple. There's 4 letters I'm going to give you. MPDR. Does anybody know what those 4 stand for? MPDR? MPDR? Let's see if anybody can. MPDR.
Mindset, discipline.
MPDR is how you're going to get better at door-to-door sales. MPDR. I want to see if anyone can guess it. MPDR. You have to first memorize.
Oh, nice.
And then once you memorize something enough, then you practice it. Practice does not make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Drill, rehearse. You memorize, practice, drill, rehearse, and then you make it so it's a natural part of you. You know, I've repeated myself. I was aware and alert. I repeated. I utilized, I internalized, and then I reinforced, so it became a natural part of me.
It's a habit now.
That's how you get better at sales, guys. I mean, over and over listening to sales audio, over and over listening to your presentation, over and over being in the field. The way that I keep getting better at selling is by being in the field. If you're a sales trainer, knock a door.
I saw that, man. Yeah, that's the way to do it. You know, Sway, right now when you said about that, it reminded me, recently I helped this gentleman who last year he had sold a solar system to his uncle, and the uncle didn't get the ITC credit. So the uncle was so upset at his nephew that he's called his mom. So now this guy had his mom calling him, did you screw up your uncle? It's family. And he says, Marcos, it was to the point where I was missing the family's birthday parties, so I didn't want to see my uncle, right? For an ITC credit. He's like, bro, I could help you. To make the long story short, I get on the phone, we help the uncle go tax exempt, get him the money. Now they're talking. The uncle's now sending them friends, guys. And I didn't make any money on that sale, but I saw the solution. And come on, man, you're talking about separating families over an ITC credit. How many people out there are not going to their family's parties because they didn't sell the right system to their family?
That's a good point. So Sway, let me ask you this, brother. So with somebody that's a second, third, fourth year veteran, or somebody that's in the industry, why is it important for them to continue to stay up to date with the new tax laws that are in solar?
Well, it's ever evolving. It's like they say it's not the strongest of the creatures that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most able to adapt. And I think that's the only way I've ever stayed with solar, right? We were in it 2013, 2014, and along this process, it's always learning to adapt to the new environment. Right, like I talked to Taylor earlier and I asked him, you know, what does your lease versus loan look like right now? He said last blitz was like 65, 35. But then I was like, over the last year, he's like, oh, well, it was 80 loans, 20 lease. And so that just tells me that he was able to understand and adapt to his environment, which I believe same thing goes for tax, same thing goes for products, same thing goes for servicing. You always have to be able to understand what's best for the homeowner is going to be best for you in a service-based business, because that adaptation is something that will forever serve you. Like not learning the skill, not learning the product, but learning to adapt to an environment will, again, it'll serve you. You'll persevere longer than the average, and I think that's why
you have to be like a chameleon out there, right? Like you don't know what's going. Like I'm going to random states. I never met any of these people before. I don't know where. Or you're getting dropped off in this neighborhood. You've got to learn to make the plays. You know.
Where were you the other day? That was you were in some random. I didn't even know the state you were in.
When?
I don't even know. You were in like friggin' Alabama or some bullshit.
Stop talking about Las Cruces, bro.
the money turf.
Yeah. Okay. So Marcos, what is one way give me some free, like how do I Google if I'm a new rep in solar, or even a veteran, and I've got guys that I teach that are new in solar, where can I send them to get free information either from the government, from websites? What kind of websites? If I don't where's something I can start today to find investment tax credit? Like what can I Google?
So the problem with that, Mikey, is that there's a lot of wrong information out there regarding the ITC. So the minute somebody Googles ITC credit, they're gonna get the negative. And then they're gonna think, so you gotta get it from the right resource, right? It's like you telling me, Marcos, I have a problem with my eyes right now. Should I Google, what do I do? Well, you're gonna get right. Now the problem here is that people are going to the dentist asking them for a solution on their eye. You can't go to the dentist and get a solution for your eye. You gotta go to the eye doctor, brother. So, hey, let me just tell you, there's a need for more accountants. You might, if you put ITC, you might see my name pop up. I'd love to give you some free information, but I have a lot of free information on my Instagram. And you need to come to places like this where you can get it directly from the source.
Awesome, appreciate that. Thank you.
Preguntas?
¿Tiene preguntas?
Is there questions?
¿Preguntas?
Nos ha llegado clientes que ya adquirieron el proyecto solar, pero realmente no tienen los ingresos como para declarar. Entonces declaran en cero. En ese caso, ¿cómo se maneja? Y la segunda pregunta que te tengo es con relación al taller que hablaste, que tienes un taller de tax credit, más información acerca de eso.
Okay, perfecto. So I'll translate. So number one is, she said there's people that are going solar that don't have an income, don't qualify for the credit. Okay? What can we do in that situation? Okay, and then second thing is she wants to know more information on the course. Okay, so answer lo número uno. Hay varias cosas que puedes hacer por tu cliente. Número uno es primero informarte si alguien en la casa tiene ingresos taxables. Por ejemplo, vamos a decir que son una pareja mayor de edad, que ya están jubilados, ¿sí? Pero tienen un hijo, una hija que es profesional y que paga muchos impuestos. Los papás le pueden transferir el crédito legalmente a su hija y a su hijo, ellos reclamar el crédito y en lugar de pagarle al IRS, que le ayuden a papá y a mamá a pagar su sistema.
Ahora, si esas personas no están dentro del título, no importa.
No, mientras tenga autorización. Mientras tenga autorización.
The other thing they can do, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Marcos, is what you could do is if they didn't qualify for the tax credit, and I knew they didn't qualify for the tax credit, I could say, is there anybody else that's on the deed of the home here? And they're like, no. Say, do you know anybody that's currently working right now? Cool, so I don't know, I can't guarantee this, but I'm gonna make a quick call to my manager. Hey Mikey, how are you? This is Taylor. Hey, I was looking for an exemption. I'm here with Mary at her house, and George is her brother. He's not on the deed of the home, but he has the taxable income to claim the tax credit. Is it okay if I got an exemption to add him onto this account so they can claim the tax credit even though he's not on the deed of the home? Yeah, they have a great house. It's on a corner. How many years have you guys lived here? They've lived here for 8 years. Yep, perfect situation. Yep, it's a corner house. Are you guys okay with the sign staying out in front for the first 3 months? Okay, perfect. So I got it approved. We just need to call him really quick. I need to get his approval, and then we're going to email him the docs, and he's going to actually counter and be added onto the account.
Now,
that's how I do.
Question on that: does he have to be on the loan, Marcos? Does he have to do a tax credit, or do you have to do an install?
As long as he's on the installation agreement, he's good to go.
That's it.
If IRS audits, they only want a solar contract. You guys want to know the truth?
Just add him to the.
You guys want to know the truth? 0 ITC audits so far. I always tell people are so scammed about this and worried. When the IRS does the law, they do it for what reason? Because they want you to use it. People want people to go solar. They didn't extend it for another 10 years for you not to use it. They didn't do the 30% for you not to use it. Okay, as long as there's a contract and you do have the panels on the roof, you're good to go. Okay. So that's that. And then the third option, man, I'm always like, they're like, is there anything you can do for somebody that makes very little income? Where much is provided, much is given, you have a big responsibility, guys. Yeah. Aren't we in the best industry right now? Why not get homeowners to advertise for you and make them make some money? Get people $1,000 per referral. And they can now have an income. Now you can write off the solar. And that's part of the course. Inside the course, we teach you how to do that.
And then Sway, if you can answer that for me as well, is how does it make sense? At what point do you do a lease versus a loan? If they're not making any money, why would you sell the lease to them or the lease to own?
¿Sí le entendió ese? ¿Se lo digo español?
PPA, like
yeah,
Okay.
PPA.
I don't know if I would. You know, I think I might push them towards the lease. Is it ownership that they're really looking for?
Well, no, if they don't. So for homeowners that are low
do you know
income.
what happens at the end of the 25 years of the lease?
Yeah, you have the fair market value to buy it out if you want.
Okay, different PPA companies are different, but understanding those, because at the end of the 25-year loan, if you don't renew the system, a lot of them aren't going to pick up the system.
Yeah.
Some of them will sell you that system for $1.
Yeah.
As long as you know that information, or hey, what is this going to be? Don't tell somebody, hey, you can buy out the lease at year 25 for $1 if it isn't.
Yeah.
But
fair market value though.
But fair market value at that time might be very close to that, almost nothing.
On Sunnova's contract, page 18 says exactly what year after year what they can buy it out for. On a year 25, it says 0.
Yes.
I don't tell them anything.
Yes.
I show them the contract.
Sunnova on year 25. So what's the difference? Here's my question. I have not figured this out. Besides the tax credit, what is the difference between a lease that they own at the end of year 25 from a loan that they own at the end of the year 25?
I'll tell you right now. The differences of a lease to own, which is called a PPA in most markets, and a loan is that the lease, we'll call it the lease. The lease actually has actual bumper-to-bumper warranty with labor included inside of that for 25 years, and a loan does not in most companies. And on a lease or lease to own, you don't get the tax credit, but it actually is applied to the system for you. So you still achieve getting them the tax credit because, like you say, Mr. Mrs. Homeowner, you wouldn't go solar unless you could get that 30% tax credit, right? Okay, in your guys' case, you're on Social Security, you're 70 years old, you're on Social Security, but you still have a power bill, don't you? Okay, and you still have, and SDG&E, Nevada Energy, Texas, whatever.
If I can add to that, can you get a home improvement on a lease?
No.
That's it. So if my guy needs
I can do a roof on a lease depending on what they sell them, but most of the time the answer is no to that.
And another good way to look at it or position it as a sales professional, is like, for example, do you think that your car would appreciate or depreciate if you bought it off the lot?
Depreciate.
It depreciates, but if you bought it from a used owner, you're going to get less for it, right?
Yeah, correct.
So you could position it that way to somebody that's like, I don't know if I want the ownership or the lease. I can say, hey, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take out the loan. We're going to actually utilize the roof as a power plant. Same way you wouldn't buy a car right off the lot at the end of the 5th year, depending on what state you're in, because some places you can't. At the end of the year 5, you can actually purchase the system at fair market value. Now, because they don't get the tax credit, is there any sort of incentives like depreciation or anything that they could get? Let's say I said, hey, I'm leasing the system first 5 years. At the end of the year 5, I said, hey, I want to buy it at fair market value. I understand I didn't get the tax credit. Is there any sort of write-offs that I could do in that situation?
You can still do a write-off, not the credit, but you can still do a tax write-off with depreciation, the interest on the loan.
Are you going to sell the house within 5 years?
What?
That's the difference, right? The
Yeah.
lease versus the loan is I can actually add the value through the equity you had said earlier.
Yes.
Inside of like the reasons why people go solar. As far as a loan goes, I can actually add the value of that somewhat to the house. Versus the lease, you get no value other than the benefit of having a locked-in bill, which is
Control
more
and
or less perceived
predictability,
value.
yeah.
100%.
So what I'll say in that situation is like, say if you're like, I'm moving in 6 months, I'll use something called an instant reverse close. Oh, you're moving in 6 months? That's exactly why you should do it.
Perfect timing.
Have you ever heard of the term flippers?
Yeah,
Like the people
yeah.
that buy a home, fix up the kitchen?
Yeah.
What the modern day flippers are doing now is they're buying a home, they're putting
let's go
solar
right
on it,
there.
they're claiming the tax credit, they're hiring a real estate agent to fly a drone above the home, and then they're taking a picture. So not only are they not wasting their time fixing up a bathroom, changing the toilets, but they're actually putting the solar on the roof. They have true ownership. They claim the tax credits and the appreciation of the home, and that's what the modern day flippers are doing nowadays. They just buy a home, they claim the tax credit, and they're doing it multiple times over and over.
That's powerful.
New home,
That is-
new tax credit. Let's go.
Whether that works,
Nick,
that works
For a
every time in the
solution
field.
To this convention, man, that's it right there. Have you heard of the?
Have you ever heard of the term
home flipping?
flippers?
Solar flippers. Modern flippers.
We're the green
Well, it
flip.
makes sense, dude. Everybody agrees to it. I'm like, dude, they're not ripping up the tile and fixing the brown countertop and switching them to white. They're taking the easy route. They're claiming an $8,000 to $10,000 tax credit. They're claiming the appreciation, and they're just putting the they're putting the solar on the roof once it's installed.
I have a realtor brother who's in solar, real estate professional, and while he's doing he already sold the house. He has the perfect client. While they're doing the final walkthrough, he gets him a list and says, "Hey, tell me all the home improvements that you want to do to the house." Then makes another appointment, goes and closes him a solar, and says, "You don't have to spend money."
Done deal.
Man, if you're a realtor and you're not in that game yet, you're a couple years behind, man.
That's
You're a
dirty.
couple
I
years
love that.
behind. Hey, to go circle back to their question, no tienen que estar en el contrato del préstamo mientras estén en el contrato de la instalación. El otro familiar, amigo, conocido puede agarrar el crédito.
Do they have to be put on the deed or just on the installation contract?
Just on the installation contract.
Perfect. Can you
If
sign the contract after? Can you download the contract and send it through your DocuSign to the homeowner to the person that's going to collect it, or does it have to be there in the middle when you turn it in?
It should be in the middle. It's
after the fact, right?
Yeah, if you're the sales.
Because otherwise, the lending company is not going to approve that.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
So it has to be after the fact.
Simplemente quieres venderle solar al cliente diciendo que esto es más económico.
I like
Oh,
that.
man.
Some sauce,
that.
dude.
Oh, that's
3.5, 4 decades worth of solar knowledge right here.
bro.
4 decades right here.
Wow.
It's good. Thank you, brother.
Good shit.
Oh, 18 foot.
That's a wrap.
Right, man.
That's a good shit, yeah.
Good stuff, brother.